and I just want to encourage you to do just that. Today, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about fear, and is fear controlling your life? This past weekend, I hosted, every month we do a personal and professional development training called the Heart Equity Exchange. And this is a time for business owners, career professionals to come together to exchange the authentic wealth that they have and encourage and uplift one another so that we can see our dreams come true, one step, one goal at a time. We work through a lot of the challenges that many of us face in our professional lives when we are looking to advance ourselves. And those challenges can show up in many different ways. But at the Heart Equity Exchange, we come together, we problem solve, we troubleshoot, we network, we uplift, and we challenge one another to be better each and every day. This is where we overcome procrastination, imposter syndrome, low self esteem, low self worth, low self value. These things are heavily targeted and addressed. We deal with family pressures and challenges that many of us have. So the Heart Equity Exchange is really been nice. And the first two sessions were hosted live. And so now we're moving to a virtual platform so that you all over the world, our Heart Tribe in all corners of the world, can participate in the Heart Equity Exchange because you want to advance your career, you want to improve your life. And I believe that growing heart equity, personal, relational, and financial wealth through authentic living is the way to do that. Now, some of you may or may not know, but for me, this Heart Equity Exchange is very personal because this is something my mother and I were working on. And this past weekend, I was really thinking about some of the challenges that my mother and I faced when I was growing up. A lot of people don't realize, like, I know what it feels like to feel like your enemies or arch rivals with your parents. Like, I know what it feels like to have a parent tell you, I wish you were never here. I wish you were never born. Like, I know what it feels like to be in love with somebody and then be utterly embarrassed because you find out, this person is loving on other people right in front of you. Like, I know what it feels like to put all of your everything into something and then it doesn't work out for you. And now what do you do, right? When people say don't put all of your eggs in a basket. Well, I've done that before and all my eggs got cracked, but I'm still here, And, I've been a teenage mom, right? I've been taking care of myself since I was pretty much 13, 14 years old, right? And so to be here, to be doing hard work with you and growing heart equity is very important for me because I've seen the things that I'm talking to you about are tried and true. I've lived these things. I've supported other people as they have been living through these challenges. I know what it feels like to, walking on your parents getting high. I know what it feels like to be denied. I know what it feels like to not be accepted. Like, I know what it feels like to be embarrassed. I know what it feels like to utterly mess up, be the one on the wrong side of the stick, and have to tell yourself the truth. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today because I believe that you are on the cusp of something great in your life, but you will not get there if you're not willing to address the fears that have been holding you back. Now, they might not look like fears. What they may look like is you're trying to be safe. You may be reminded of what you went through back then, and you know you don't want to go through that anymore, but that very same thing that you're running from is the very thing that's probably keeping you away from living the life that you've been dreaming of. And so you think that you're protecting yourself. You think you're doing a good job because you like, I'm not going to talk to them because I'm protecting my peace, right? You're like, I'm going to cut this person off my life. I'm going to act like this situation did not exist, but I'm just going to do my best to clean up my act, to work on my appearance so that nobody will ever know what I went through. But guess who's going to know what you went through? You are. The body never forgets and the body keeps score. So what I'm telling you today is both things can be true. I want to encourage you to quit running from the lies that you have been telling because you believe that it's easy easier to tell that lie than to confront the truth. But I just want to let you know that the truth will absolutely set you free. It's time for you to start telling the truth. I remember when I decided that I did not want to play these toxic games with my mother anymore. My mother was a single mother. My mother had me by my father. My father was married. When my mother got pregnant, I was born in a very messy, nasty, icky situation from the world standards. But what I now know is that God brought me here for a reason. I used to feel like I was a mistake. I know for a fact that I no longer, I know I'm not a mistake. But doing the hard work, working the steps, the 6 steps I keep talking to you about: connection, awareness, acceptance, forgiveness, decision, taking action. When I started working those steps, I realized I'm not a mistake. But I was raised in an environment where my mother was hurt. My mother was a broken little girl. So my mother did the best that she could with what she had. But she instilled a lot of insecurities in me. She caused me to doubt and question myself in a lot of situations because she was already doing that herself. And truth be told, she was raised by people who were doing that themselves. My mother didn't come from a healthy environment. Her parents, my grandmother and grandfather, were amazing, especially when I came into their lives, but they weren't always those people. When I met my grandparents, they were in their 50s and 60s. I haven't even gotten there yet. My grandchildren don't know how ratchet and scandalous and messed up I have been, and by the time they're born, guess what? They won't know. I'm a dear say I've been delivered. But they will know because I'm going to tell a story so that we can continue to overcome. I'm not running from the truth of the things that I've been through in my life. I know I've broken the law many times. I ain't got to get into details, but I have. I've done backstabbing, backbiting things. I would like to justify it, but it don't make it right. I've had abortions. I've used drugs. I've stole. I've lied. I've cheated. I've done these things in my life. I don't still do these things, but I've done these things. And let me tell you something about getting delivered. When the Bible says, who the Son set free is free indeed, and we overcome by the words of our testimony. I was talking about this morning. How many of us in this heart tribe have been held down by lies? You don't want to tell the truth because you don't want to hurt this person. You don't want this person to be embarrassed. You don't want to bring shame on your family. You don't know how this person is going to take it. All the while, you're dying on the inside. I remember telling my mama, like, look, I am no longer willing to, live with you in this way where we acting like we get along on the surface. But then, in the background, it's just a constant, toxic, tormenting, back and forth, backbiting. I'm not doing that with you anymore. We're going to keep it 100 wherever we are. What does that mean? The same way we acting in the background, that's how we going to be acting in the public. I'm not going to be playing these manipulative games with you. Yes, I love you. Yes, you are my mother, but that does not mean I have to put up with your manipulative ways, your controlling ways. I don't have to prioritize you first in my life. I am an individual. I'm a wife. I am a mother. I am business owner, many other things. And I'm zeroing in on my mother right now because I feel like a lot of you are being manipulated by people because of the title that they hold in your life. Let me tell you something. You are not responsible for what happened to you, especially when you were little, but you are responsible now for making. I'm driving. I hope y'all can still hear me. It looks like I might be going through a rough spot, but I'm hoping that this is coming through and I come against anything trying to block that. I just want to let you know that your health and your well-being is okay. If you have a parent, mother, father, a brother, sister, even a child that is constantly wanting you to do things you don't want to do and manipulating you, making you feel like you're responsible for their health, you're responsible for their happiness, you're responsible for their peace, you're responsible for their success. Like most of my children, I have 4 children, 3 of them are now grown. I only have 1 child left at home. I did the best I could as a mother, but I know I messed up. let me be clear. I know I messed up. So I'm open in these conversations with my kids. I'm not going to tell them, you're lying. I was good to you. I provided to you. Yes, I did all of those things, but I also know that I was still healing and broken and still am. So as a mother, I did some things and said some things to my kids that I can apologize for. Some of the things they haven't even remembered yet. And I know this because I know what hard work is like. I know how hard work works. I know that the more that you work, the more you will uproot situations in your life. And once it comes up, it needs to come out. I had to talk to my mother about how her pushing me to be so good in school, how that had an adverse effect on me, and it made me no longer want to try. How I didn't feel like I was good enough because if I brought home a 90, she would ask me why didn't I get a 95 or a 100, right? How I felt, everybody loving me. I did get a lot of love in my family, but I had internal challenges that I was going through that made me doubt and question myself. So even though people were loving on me, the enemy was still in my head telling me, you're not good enough. You don't have a daddy. You don't have, your mama don't love you. Like my mother, I knew my mother had my back, but my mother wasn't emotionally safe. I couldn't tell her the truth about how I felt. It was about making sure she wasn't upset. Making sure I was a good little, grateful little girl. Right? And my mom and I talked extensively about that. That's why we were able to get so close, because I was able to help her heal from things she went through with my grandmother. Because this stuff is generational. And a lot of grudges you hold and unforgiveness you have, let me tell you something, you can be set free. Those stomach issues, those GI problems you have, those skin issues you have, those hair issues you're having, a lot of those things can be rectified by you telling the truth about your emotions. When you felt rejected, when you felt abandoned, those things can be true. You can know your parents loved you and cared about you, and they were emotionally toxic for you as well. Both things can be true. And I just want to encourage you to overcome the fear of telling the truth, because a lie is no longer working for you. And once you heal and overcome that fear of telling the truth, you're going to start to experience your life in a way you never thought was possible. So think about that. Think about what I'm saying. Go back and watch this video. Set your timer. We're going to be doing Heart Talk Live tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Heart Talk is our life support group that we have. So I just encourage you to mark your calendar, set your timer, get on. We continue having these conversations. I'm going to continue this conversation about the truth and overcoming the lies. You don't always have to have an answer to the situation, but just your truth, just your lamenting how hard it is can change everything. And I just want to encourage you. Remember, I'm Adelai Brown, your heart coach. I am committed to growing and cultivating heart equity with you. What is that? Personal, relational, and financial wealth that we grow and obtain and multiply through authentic living. I love you. You got this. Go out and tell the truth. Just start with yourself, but just tell the truth, because the truth will set you free.